James Norton, who's a Republican strategist. You saw what played out there on the convention floor. Signs of a rebellion, and is it over?
Well, look, this is a democratic process. The delegates are elected in each state and county throughout the country. They support certain candidates when they're elected through that process. I think you saw here today that the process isn't actually over yet in terms of this afternoon. Ultimately, the move for a floor vote was voted down, and so the platform was accepted, and so we're going to move on from here. But I think this is just part of the process, and that people from certain counties and states were looking to be heard about their particular choice for candidate, and they had that moment, and now we're moving on.
Some very angry in the room, and of course there are many who didn't even come here, including some of the biggest names in your party. The Bush family, you served one of the Bushes in his administration, John McCain, Mitt Romney. Are you disappointed that those party grandees have decided they can't come here, they're staying away?
Look, I think every convention is unique. Every convention has its own identity. This one has obviously a very specific, unique identity that we haven't seen in a while, but I think that we do have some pretty big speakers tonight. Senator Ernst, one of our young incoming senators from Iowa, is going to be speaking tonight. Rudy Giuliani, another party stalwart, will be speaking tonight. So I think there's a lot of exciting people that will be here and that are going to speak, and so every year is a different flavor.
And the theme tonight, the normal Trump theme, is Make America Great Again. This is Make America Safe Again. I notice a lot of the attention we're going to hear from families of those that were killed in Benghazi is on Benghazi. Why still on that issue? I know it's an issue that maybe can be used against Hillary Clinton, but it seems in many ways an issue that's already been well debated.
Well, I think the issue of security is a concern in general. This country has been attacked, obviously here, several times in the last couple of years, both domestically and then abroad in Europe. Europe is destabilizing in the sense of attacks in Istanbul and France and other places like that. So, obviously, Benghazi happened. Congress investigated the reports on both sides that were released. So I think there's the issue that happened, which is important. Americans lost their lives, but also there's the issue of what are we going to do next? What's the administration going to plan on? What's the first 100 days look like?
Well, yeah, I want to know what the answer is to those questions, because I'm not an American, I'm not a voter in this election, many people watching this aren't, and they want to know how Donald Trump, if he was president, would affect the world. We don't know what his policy is on Syria, on Iraq, on ISIL. He says he has a plan, won't tell us. He hasn't told us what he's going to do in Afghanistan, where America still has more than 9,000 troops. Ukraine. There are so many questions. Isn't it time we started to have the beginning of a foreign policy?
Well, I think you're going to see some of that this week, and especially tonight with the Make America Safe. I think when Mr. Trump speaks on Thursday, he'll outline some of his plans for defense and defense spending. That'll obviously be an important part of his administration. We've seen a lot of cuts in the last 7 years in terms of what's been spent. I think congressional relationships will be important. There's obviously been an issue with the current administration and relationship with Congress. I think if Donald Trump can outline some plans to work with Congress on both sides of the aisle, I think that'll, and also working with some foreign leaders and what his plans are there, that'll go a long way to having people have a better understanding of what his presidency might look like.
James Norton, thank you very much. Republican strategist joining us here on Al Jazeera. When you have conventions like this, the campaigners hope that it will give the president or the candidate a bump, give him a bump in terms of extra poll share. So far, though, at this convention, just a bumpy start.